Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Thursday, March 2, 2023. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Lucrative for Indian investors to set up operations in Guyana, says GMSA head. BERBICE police quell protests over detention of armed robbery suspect. GCCI slams VISIONLESS central bank on handling a foreign currency shortage. Central Bank urged to improve access to banking services for persons with disabilities, and probe underway into workplace accident at EXXONMOBIL HQ construction site. Now for the news in detail. President of the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, Rafiq Khan, has stated that many Indian companies are excited about the various investment opportunities available in Guyana and are especially looking to benefit from the concessions offered here. Vanu Manikchand reports.
Companies are very excited to partner in Guyana. They see the opportunity as getting concessions easier in Guyana in terms of land acquisition. The cost of getting land is leased land is more lucrative in Guyana versus India. We see our tax incentives are being easier to do business in Guyana. So there's a wider range of opportunities in Guyana and why businesses want to come in.
That was GMSA President Rafiq Khan speaking on a webinar with other private sector players who were part of a high-level delegation led by President Dr. Irfan Ali to India in January. According to Khan, the GMSA had entered into several MOUs with Indian companies for potential collaboration in a number of areas, including furniture manufacturing.
We've met with one of the largest manufacturing company in India for furniture. As a matter of fact, their showroom alone was 100,000 square feet, 7 floors. That company will be in Guyana within the next 60 days. They've already started their due diligence in checking out and doing some feasibility studies remotely. But this company is very anxious to come into Guyana and seeing how they can help build out the country for furniture, both for industrial and residential use.
In addition to the MOU with Mahedpurwala Furnishers, the GMSA also inked an agreement with NBR Cooling Systems for the establishment of a radiator manufacturing plant.
We might ask ourselves the question, why radiator company in Guyana? It is not radiator for Guyana. It is beyond Guyana. The market is there in the United States, in the Caribbean, in Latin America, in South America, where Guyana could import certain raw material to make radiators. You're importing copper, you're importing aluminum, you're importing steel, and that is being put together to make radiator cores for the automotive industry, for engines and turbines and generators and so on.
According to Khan, the association is also working on getting Indian companies to invest in the agro-processing sector here in Guyana.
But as you know, for agro-processing, you need sufficient enough raw material to produce any products. If you don't, then your manufacturing will fail. So this is where agriculture is being built out to have more supplies to be able to produce large-scale agro-processing products. But when it comes to natural resources, we have an abundance of natural resources that we don't have to go plant the crop to be able to get those raw materials. So it's a phased approach. Companies are very excited to partner in Guyana.
Reporting for the Evening News, Fanu Manakchand.
Quick response by police averted what could have been an ugly situation on the quarantine as residents attempted to block the road and burn tires in protest action over the detention of an armed robbery suspect. Concerned family members and friends of the man took to the streets of Rose Hall Town to protest for his release from police custody. Our BERBICE correspondent Andrew Carmichael has this story.
Scores of persons on Thursday took to the streets at Rose Hall Town on the quarantine to protest the release of Romel Thomas, called Gavo, who was arrested by the police in connection with a robbery committed at Jackpot Lounge at Portuguese Quarters quarantine. Reports are that on Monday evening, the business place was robbed, with the gunmen carting off with $5 million. According to reports, an employee had gone to clear a slot machine and removed in excess of $1 million in cash. As she was leaving, two men armed with handguns confronted her and pulled a bag out of her hand which had in excess of $5 million in cash. Regional Commander Shivprasad Baka said several persons were arrested in relation to the incident. He said on Thursday he was informed that residents had gathered tires and other flammable material and had assembled to protest over the detention of the suspect.
We saw some persons and they were assembling indeed to commence the protest. I spoke with them, and they mentioned a situation to me that was some persons were in the lockups, reference an investigation of robbery that took place at Portuguese Quarters. We intervened and we looked at the circumstances and so forth, and we talked to the leader of the gathering, and they come to a conclusion, and we moved to Wim Police Station, where we started the situation there, and the person removed from the road. They were peaceful.
Barbara Henry says it was her son who was arrested on Monday and was still in custody more than 72 hours without being charged. She's alleging that her son was with some friends at an entertainment center and restaurant opposite the business place which was allegedly robbed. The mother contended that a protest was organized because during an identification parade which was held on Wednesday evening, a police officer allegedly instructed one of the staff from the business place which was robbed to pick her son out as the one who robbed the Jackpot gaming lounge.
Pick out number 8, which is me son. And pick out, yes. And pick out number 8. Right? Anyhow, me left, and me and my daughter-in-law, we catch a car and go in at Albion. You see what's going on. Them take my son, carry home by me. If you say they do me play searching for $5 million and gun. I don't know when I get gun pan. Me pick me not thief. Then I get father, they're not thief, they're walking. Right? Here, let me talk now. Now, tumble up my face upside it down. My son, handcuff my son has some water. Box out the water out my son's hand. All that is wrong thing, them police. Them police is a thief more than anybody out there.
Meanwhile, according to the police commander, the man was released. He said during his engagement with organizers of the protest, several issues were raised and addressed.
Several persons were arrested based on the circumstances. We would have carried out several cordon search exercises and also searches for wanted person in the area that the robbery would have occurred. And apart from that, we had persons also from the exercise that we carried since the robbery occurred at Portuguese Quarters. We arrested about 5 persons who was wanted in connection for break and enter and larceny and other offenses, and they attend court today at Wim.
Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
The Guyana Council of Organizations for Persons with Disabilities is currently exploring opportunities for persons who are living with disabilities to have better access to services offered by commercial banks. More in this Tasia Dickinson report.
This was revealed by GCOPD Program Coordinator. Ganesh Singh and a team had recently met with the Bank of Guyana's Deputy Governor, Mr. Leslie Glenn, where they discussed major issues affecting persons with disabilities and what measures can be put in place to resolve those problems. During a telephone interview with this newscast on Wednesday, Singh revealed some of the topics that were discussed.
Some commercial banks do not allow blind persons to open a bank account by themselves. So they have to open a joint account. So there are commercial banks, some, not all, some commercial banks who require you to open a joint account if you're blind. Even if they allow you to open an account, some commercial banks, again, not all, do not give you an ATM card. They refuse to give you an ATM card.
He also highlighted that in Guyana, the ATMs are not accessible for persons with disabilities, whereas in some countries there are systems in place for visually impaired persons to listen to audio which will instruct them on how to access the ATM services.
The ATMs are not accessible because in some countries you can plug in your headphones and you can listen to the audio prompt. So a blind person can be able to conduct their ATM transaction independently.
Moreover, during the meeting with the central bank, Singh said suggestions were made for specific markings to be done on each of the notes so persons can identify the different bills by touching them.
We also discussed making our notes, our $5,000, $2,000, $1,000 and so on, putting a tactile marking on them so that a blind person, when they touch it, they can know what denomination it is.
Overall, the GCOPD representative expressed that the meeting was very productive and he is hoping to make some progress in the not-too-distant future on these issues. According to Singh, the organization hopes to meet with commercial banks to further discussions on these matters. Tasia Dickinson for the Evening News.
In light of the shortage of foreign currency in Guyana, the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry today issued a stinging statement where it expressed dissatisfaction with the Bank of Guyana's lack of action, vision, and modern financial policies to improve access to financing for local businesses. The GCCI pointed out that according to its own statistics, the Bank of Guyana has failed to intervene in the ongoing foreign currency shortage issue, despite the private sector complaining of a lack of US dollars since 2019. The Chamber said it views the central bank's inaction to activate mitigating strategies to address the foreign currency situation as a disregard for business. Moreover, the GCCI said it will continue to advocate this cause in hopes that a thorough, independent investigation is conducted in order to uncover the root cause. The business representative body argued that an independent intervention is needed since the GCCI has lost confidence in the leadership of the Bank of Guyana or its capacity to implement policies that will guide Guyana's financial sector to support growth being experienced in the real sector. A crane that was in operation at the construction site of EXXONMOBIL's headquarters at Ogle, East Coast Demerara today toppled over. This newscast understands that no injuries have been reported. An official connected with the operations revealed that investigations are underway. The Ministry of Labor is also investigating. NABI KCL Oilfield Construction Services, Guyana was awarded the contract to erect the headquarters, with construction costs pegged at US $160 million. Reports indicate that ExxonMobil is constructing the state-of-the-art facility comprising 2 buildings on a 15-acre site. The plan also includes the construction of a roadway leading to the premises. In January, a crane operating at the Guyana National Shipping Corporation wharf in Georgetown had toppled whilst offloading items from a vessel. Coming up, a businessman jailed for human trafficking and search still on for guard who fell into Demerara River. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Did you know that when you leave your property unoccupied and unmanaged, it deteriorates much faster than you can imagine? Then before you know it, much of your hard-earned investment is wasted. At Hand in Hand Trust Corporation, property management is our business. Whether you travel for long periods, live overseas, or have several properties that require managing, let us at Hand in Hand Trust Corporation take care of this for you. Your property is safe with us. Hand in Hand Trust Corporation Incorporated, a member of the Hand in Hand Group of Companies.
Are you a sports fan? Place your sport betting bets today for your chance to win up to $15 million per coupon. Visit any agent near you or www.superbet.gy and place your bets. Must be 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. Play responsibly. Superbet, your best bet.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Magistrate Faith Magusti earlier this week sentenced Faisal Shaw to 3 years imprisonment on one account of trafficking in persons. Shaw, a wildlife trader of Susdike Public Road, was also ordered to pay $2,127,000 in restitution to the survivor. This restitution request was presented by a senior officer attached to the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security's Counter-Trafficking in Persons Unit, as the unit continues to support survivors of this egregious act. The ministry has been closely following this case since 2018, appearing at every hearing and supporting the survivors. The convicted businessman brought the victims from another country and forced them to work on what is called a local zoo. The conditions in which the survivors were forced to work can only be described as inhumane, and they were subjected to substandard living conditions. We now tell you that a guard attached to a private security firm is feared dead after he slipped into the Demerara River on Wednesday morning while on duty. The missing man is Zephyr Stanislaus, a father of one, and resident of Anna Caterina, West Coast Demerara. The Evening News has been informed that Stanislaus was guarding a vessel and was stationed at the Guyana Rubis Incorporated Wharf, located at Providence, East Bank, Demerara, when the incident occurred. Reports are that at around 4 hours, Stanislaus was seen climbing down the ladder on the vessel in order to board a marine boat. It was during that process that he accidentally slipped and fell into the Demerara River. He went underwater shortly after and did not surface. The man's aunt told this newscast that based on her knowledge, it was her nephew's first night on the job. The search continues and investigations by various authorities, including the Ministry of Labor, are ongoing. Unlike what obtained under its predecessor, the APNO AFC government, Minister Susan Rodriguez has argued that there is no wasteful spending under the PPPC administration and that all sums of money being expended can be linked to benefits for all citizens. Here are the details from Tasia Dickinson.
There is no wasteful spending. All of the spending that is taking place in our country, it is being invested back into our economy. It is creating jobs, and it is investment for the future. When we spend billions of dollars to build a 300 megawatt power plant at Wales that will be delivered before 2025 to deliver on our commitment to reduce electricity costs by 50%, that is for every single Guyanese. That will bring relief to every single Guyanese.
Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, during her weekly televised program. The minister further explained that there is no form of discrimination in any of the spending.
You tell me how a cash grant for all school children, every school child, is discriminatory. You tell me how building a highway or highways or a bridge that will bring ease to tens of thousands of Guyanese, how that is discriminatory. You tell me how building hospitals, 7 modern hospitals to serve the public, all the people of the country, how that is discriminatory. You tell me how training teachers and improving our infrastructure so that we deliver quality education to our children who can study in comfort. Show me how that is discriminatory. Show me how when we create jobs in the public sector, how we incentivize the private sector to stimulate hiring. Show me how the part-time jobs program is discriminatory.
The APNO AFC has been criticized for its billions of dollars in wasteful spending under its 5 years in government. Reports indicate that the APNO AFC expended over $1 trillion that was partially financed by additional taxes of $264.8 billion, as well as external and domestic debt. However, the spending by the APNO AFC government did not produce jobs for Guyanese, induce more foreign and domestic investments, improve the production of the country's key sectors, or enhance the well-being of citizens. Tasia Dickinson for the Evening News.
Guyana is presently preparing its second report for the United Nations Montevideo Consensus on Population and Development, with the consultative aspect of that preparation ongoing. Gerald Bryan reports.
Consultations on the Montevideo Consensus on Population and Development got underway at the Cara Lodge on Wednesday. During the consultation, the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance hosted civil society stakeholders. It was explained by the ministry in a subsequent statement that they are presently preparing Guyana's second report on the consensus. As such, they have to engage key stakeholders in a participatory and inclusive way. The whole process is being supported by the United Nations Population Fund. The Montevideo Consensus was adopted by countries in Latin America and the Caribbean since 2013. It is an agreement to prioritize various development areas from the perspective of the population. These areas include reaffirming indigenous rights, increasing gender equality, and eliminating gender-based violence. The consensus draws its name from the fact that the first regional conference on the consensus was held in Montevideo, Uruguay in 2013. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
Today marks 3 years since Guyanese went to the polls on March 2, 2020 to cast their votes, unaware that in the following days a series of events would catapult the country into political and electoral turmoil for the next 5 months. In this report, you will hear that Guyanese are urged to not forget the past and to work together to prevent a reoccurrence of those events. Let's have a look.
In reflecting on the events that played out 3 years ago, Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandlall reminded that the March 2, 2020 elections were finally held after a year-long battle following the passage of the no-confidence motion against the APNU-AFC government in December 2018. That struggle was further compounded by the 5-month electoral and political impasse, something which the Attorney General cautioned should not be forgotten.
We must not forget the lessons that were learned from those elections. We must not forget the struggles that were associated with ensuring that the votes cast at those elections were actually counted. We must not forget those who put our democracy on trial. We must not forget those who attempted in the most flagrant way to steal those elections, those who tried in the most vulgar way to prevent the true and real results of those elections from being declared.
AG Nandlall recognized the sacrifices and efforts by all stakeholders who played an integral role in ensuring Guyana's democracy was upheld. He also sounded a call for Guyanese to work together to ensure there is no reoccurrence of those events.
Let us not only celebrate elections and elections victory, because election victory didn't come, it came 5 months after. Then is when the new government was sworn in. Let us reflect on the seriousness of what transpired there, and let us reflect on the strong possibility, but not strong possibility, of the likelihood of a reoccurrence, and pledge that we will work fervently to ensure that that doesn't occur or reoccur in our country.
To this end, the Attorney General reassured that the People's Progressive Party civic government will do its part in ensuring that Guyana's democratic credentials are maintained. Coming out of the March 2020 electoral debacle, some 32 electoral fraud charges have been filed against several former Guyana Elections Commission officials and political activists who are accused of being involved in the attempt to manipulate the results of the March 2 polls. These include former Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowingfield, former Deputy Chief Elections Officer Roxanne Myers, former Region 4 Returning Officer Claremont Mingo, and APNU-AFC activist Carl Smith Joseph, among others. Persons have expressed concerns over the delays of these cases, and AG Nandal has since requested an update from the Director of Public Prosecutions and will be making that report public. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manakchand.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Friday, March 3rd at 3 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the BERBICE River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Friday, March 3rd at 13:55 hours for a period of 1.5 hours.
Motorcycle lined up for Roll-Tony 3-on-3 MVP and Petra mulling further Milo expansion. Details of these stories and more in this podcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
John Lewis Styles has opened a new department, now offering home goods. Here you can find quality sheets and towels, pillows, blankets and even bath mats and shower curtains. Organize your laundry with clothes baskets, fabric steamers, irons and ironing boards. For the kitchen we have small appliances, towels and mittens, pot sets and dinner sets too. Decorate the house with mirrors, picture frames, floating shelves and decorative pillows. All these and more on Waterloo Street. It's fashion for the home. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Hi, my name is Jaden Softly, and I'm very excited to have GTNT set up this fiber cable. As you can see, I'm young, so I'll be using this Wi-Fi, this internet, to be doing my everyday browsing and searching and, you know, just my homework and assignments, playing games, watching YouTube, you know, the regular stuff. I really enjoy this service. I think it's extremely great, and you also have like the free minutes, so for that, you know, if you're in trouble, you call your parents or someone.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality, or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.